Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. Today we are talking about RootsTech. Now, RootsTech is the largest genealogy conference here in the United States, and it was just this past weekend. You may be wondering why we're talking about RootsTech now that it's over, but I thought that I would give you a few highlights from my time at the conference. I know many of you were not able to attend. Some of you are brand new to family history and have never been to a genealogy event. And so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavor of what was involved. And then we'll just talk about some upcoming events so that you can get a little bit more involved. Now, RootsTech, it happens in Salt Lake City every year, usually in February. It's 3 days long, so it runs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with an extra add-on day on Wednesday where technology people like programmers and computer programmers and developers get together with genealogists, and it's called Innovators Day, and they talk about ways that the technology can help family history. That was the original impetus for the conference several years ago, was to get those two groups of people talking to each other so that as genealogists, we had the tools available to be able to do the things that we want to do with our family history. It has since evolved into a much larger event. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were filled with classes. There were several tracks of classes going on at any given time. Some of the best speakers in family history talking about storytelling, talking about research, talking about using different software, talking about what records are available and where to find them. It's as a speaker, it's really difficult sometimes to fit everything you want to talk about into just a 1 hour presentation, but some of the presentations I had the opportunity to attend were phenomenal, and I learned a lot. So that's probably for me one of the greatest things about these genealogy conferences is that it's an opportunity to just learn, to just be sitting in an environment, a classroom environment with other people who are interested in family history and just absorbing that knowledge. Now, of course, you can do that any number of ways. Those of you who join me every Tuesday and Thursday for these videos know that you can learn just as easily from an online course at your own pace. Some of you learn by reading. And so one of the benefits of a genealogy conference that you don't get anywhere else is the opportunity to network with and mingle with other family historians. There's just something about being in that environment, about sitting down at a lunch table or in the Ancestry.com booth in the exhibit hall and just sharing ideas, talking about what research you're working on, asking a question and hearing someone else's answer that opens up your mind to something that you hadn't thought of before. So that's probably my favorite thing about conferences is the opportunity just to meet you and to hear what you're working on and to learn about the genealogy challenges that you've overcome and the new records that you've discovered and the new ways to search that you've uncovered. Just so much. Now, in the exhibit hall, which usually at these events is free to the public. So you pay to attend the classes, to attend the luncheons, but the exhibit hall is usually open and free to the public. It is filled with vendors. Ancestry.com always has a presence there, as does newspapers.com, fold3.com, and archives.com. There are other companies that sell books and genealogy charts and maps and all sorts of different things that have to do with helping you in your family history journey. So I had a little bit of time this time, which I don't always, to wander around the exhibit hall, and it was just thrilling to see all of the different things available. I actually made a connection with a company called Progeny, who prints really cool different views of looking at your family history, and it interfaces with Family Tree Maker. I'm going to take a look at that a little bit more closely. I've got a copy coming to me, and maybe I'll do a presentation on that in the coming weeks. Well, that was a really long introduction, and actually today's presentation is going to be fairly short because I just want to make sure that you have the tools available to you to know where to go to find out more information about some of these events. So let me just share with you a couple of quick things. I could have shared with you my notes from the presentations that I attended, but I didn't know what was going to be significant or important to you. And so let me just share with you where you can get your own notes, as well as just a couple of the highlights of the event for me. So one of the first things is that the Board for Certification of Genealogists has a new genealogy standards manual. That manual went to press, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I just got my copy this last week, but they were selling it at RootsTech, and it was just really fun to watch so many genealogists just snap that manual right up. People are interested in making sure that they're following standards, that there is conformity across the records that we're sharing with each other. I have learned, especially now that I'm getting involved in Ancestry DNA, that the more standard our naming conventions and our date conventions and our location conventions are, the more likely we are to make some of those connections. It's easier for the computers to do some of the work for us when we follow some of those standards. Just so many great things. So I'm just going to show you quickly where you can purchase your own copy of that. If you go to the BCG certification.org website. It's bcgcertification.org. They have a publications link, and there you can purchase a copy of the Genealogy Standards Manual. This is there's been a manual for years. They have updated and revised this for the first time in about 14 years. And think about all of the things that have happened in family history in the last 14 years. So there's some new standards and some updated standards to account for a lot of things. So you don't need to be trying to be a certified genealogist. You don't need to be a professional genealogist. These are just good standards for all of us to follow, so that when we meet together and learn together, we're all talking the same language, as it were. So that's kind of an exciting thing. Speaking of Ancestry DNA, there was an announcement made at a couple of events. Ancestry.com hosted a luncheon where our DNA team spoke and did a Q&A, an open Q&A session. We also did, I think, a breakfast and then a couple of lectures about Ancestry DNA throughout the event. It was a really hot topic, and it's understandable. DNA is a hot topic, and there's some really cool things happening. We've got more than 250,000 people who have now taken the Ancestry DNA test. We're starting to see more connections. Just this last week, Ancestry.com updated our leaf hint system in the Ancestry DNA product. So if you haven't checked out your DNA results in the last week or so, I would strongly encourage you to go do that. Go to your DNA page, look at your matches, click that little leaf hint to see what information we're able to provide you. That has been updated. I ended up with 114 leaf hints. I've got 87 of those are on my mother's side. I had each of my parents tested, so I've got my results broken out by my parents. And so that was just really exciting. So that's been updated and is working really well. But Ancestry announced that the DNA product has even more new tools coming this year, some new ways to connect with your matches and to look at different groupings of matches to be able to determine who the common ancestors are. So look for that stuff to come out, and of course, as soon as it does, I will be right there, probably with Anna Swain, our DNA program manager, to talk about that. Okay, if you want to learn a little bit more about what happened at RootsTech, there are a couple of ways, quick ways to do that. One is if you go to search.twitter.com, you can search for the hashtag RootsTech. Search.twitter.com #RootsTech. Let me just show you where that is. If I just come in here and I type in hashtag RootsTech and hit search, it's going to show you all of the tweets that occurred during the event or that have occurred since the event. It's also going to give you links to newspaper articles or blogs where the people have written up their reviews of the event or of a particular talk. Really useful. So, for example, here's an article about sharing your family history using multimedia, and it was an article that was written based on a couple of different presentations at RootsTech. There is information here from the Ancestry Insider where he's blogged about a couple of the talks that have given. The Ancestry Insider, Randy Seaver's blog, there's a couple of really great bloggers who have talked about some of the presentations that they attended, where they've written up their notes about those presentations. So if you just go to Twitter, search.twitter.com, #RootsTech, you'll be able to see all of the different tweets that came through over the course of that event, and several links to articles and blogs written about those particular events as well. The other place to go is actually to the RootsTech website. Their website is rootstech.org. During the weekend, they actually videotaped all of the keynote presentations. So there was a keynote every single morning, and that keynote presentation usually had 2 or 3 speakers in it. As you can see here, the Pioneer Woman, if you're familiar with Ree Drummond, she was one of the keynote speakers on Thursday. Dr. Spencer Wells from National Geographic was one of the keynote speakers on Friday. And then Stephanie Nielsen, she's a blogger. Her blog is called The Nini Dialogues. She was one of the keynote speakers on Saturday. Every one of those keynote presentations was recorded, and you can watch them here on the RootsTech website. They also recorded at least one presentation an hour. They streamed them during the conference live, but now they've got them here on their website. And the topics are so varied, and I love that they've done that. They've got things like the top 10 things I learned about my family from my couch, which I just think is a clever, clever title. Do-it-yourself photo restoration, introduction to DNA for genealogists, genealogy in the cloud, sharing your family history with multimedia. Here's a good friend of mine, David Edelman. He owns a company called Real Genie, where they actually will make movies out of your family history. And he talks about storytelling superpowers, how to do that a little bit better. Lisa Alzo, also a friend of mine, talks about how to break down genealogy brick walls with social media, using Twitter, using Pinterest, using Facebook. Really kind of a fascinating idea and topic, something I got to learn a little bit more about. I use social media a lot, but Lisa has some great ideas that I'm excited to put into practice as well. Doing genealogy in your sleep, interviewing yourself, beginner's guide to going paperless. I mean, there's some really great videos here from that particular week. And of course, yours truly also here did a presentation on getting the most out of Ancestry.com. So all of those you can find there, as well as at the bottom of that, you're going to see this little link for the 2013 archive. So this is not the first year of this conference, and even though those topics are a year old, you're certainly going to still probably learn some things. So let me just show you one more time. You're going to go to rootstech.org. Just underneath the video, you're going to see a little link here that says watch recorded sessions here. Click that, and that will take you to the full list of recorded presentations from this year's RootsTech. Lots of great stuff, hours and hours of learning available to you there, and I hope that you will take advantage of that. Let's just talk for a minute about next year already. RootsTech 2015 has joined up with FGS, the Federation of Genealogical Societies. They are combining efforts for their conference next year. That just kind of blows my mind a little bit, because this year at RootsTech, there were about 11,000 people in attendance, including 4,000 teenagers on Saturday. They came for a special youth program all day Saturday, which was so fun to see that many teenagers that excited about genealogy. And so with the combined forces of these two fantastic organizations, I can't even imagine what they're going to do to top themselves, but it will not surprise me at all if they do. So if you have any desire at all to come to RootsTech, I would encourage you to get this on your calendar now, and as soon as registration opens in a few months, sign up for it. It will be February 12th through the 14th, and of course it's always held here in Utah, up in Salt Lake City. Now, if you can't come to that event, there are still other great events happening throughout the country. I've talked about them before. I will continue to talk about them, but let me just give you a quick update on some of them. This coming Saturday, so this Saturday, the date will be, I don't even know, how is that terrible that I didn't even look that up ahead of time. The date this Sunday, February 16th, Sunday, February 16th, I will be at the Sahara Library in Las Vegas, Nevada, doing a program about storytelling with records and some tips and tricks for Ancestry.com. The program, I believe, starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and runs for about 3 hours. So that's the Sahara Library this Sunday, February 16th in Las Vegas, Nevada. On top of that, we also just announced yesterday on the Ancestry.com blog, I will be in Florida for 11 days the first week of March, last day of February, first week of March. So if you live anywhere near Florida or can get to Florida, the full schedule for that particular group of events is on the Ancestry.com blog. Just go to blogs, plural, blogs.ancestry.com, and there's a blog post there, and you can see we've listed all of the events that are occurring. Some of them are half-day events, some of them are just a couple of hours, some of them are full-day events, so you can figure out based on the topics and the locations if any of those will work with your schedule. I'd love to see you there. That is going to be February 28th through March 10th that I will be in Florida. And if you're available and around, I would love to meet you. Then immediately following that event, I will be in Philadelphia. The Historical Society of Pennsylvania has invited Ancestry.com to come for an Ancestry Day on Saturday, March 15th. So if you just Google, I'm going to show you how I do this, Ancestry Day, Philadelphia, 2014. It's going to be one of the very first links that comes up there. And that is all of the information on HSP's website, the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, about how to register for that Ancestry Day. It is an all-day event at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. We've got, I think, 1,200 seats total. I know that they're going fast, and when they sell out, we will close registration. It is $35 if you are a member of the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, $45 if you are not. The event runs from 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. There is also an additional event on Friday night. Friday, the Historical Society will be opening up, and then there will be a reception on Friday where you can meet me and Lisa Arnold and Anna Swain, who's our DNA program manager, and ask us whatever questions you want in person. So I'm really looking forward to that event. Actually, all of those events. Las Vegas this coming Sunday, Florida the first week and a half of March, and Ancestry Day in Philadelphia on March 14th and 15th. Those are the upcoming events that are coming soon. There are other events. There are always other events. And so if you'd like to keep up on those, I will be putting an events page up on our blog and providing you with some links to that. Also, be sure to catch the What's New at Ancestry.com episode that I do as the first show of every month, where I just quickly review the coming events so that you know what genealogy education and networking opportunities are available to you, hopefully closer to where you live. But if you can travel at all, let me tell you, RootsTech 2015 is going to be the place to be. Not only is it the largest conference in the United States with the most opportunity for learning and networking, it's also right here in Salt Lake City. And if you don't know about the importance of Salt Lake City and family history, let me tell you, the Salt Palace Convention Center is a block and a half from the Family History Library. And the Family History Library is the largest collection of offline research materials available anywhere in the world. They have microfilmed more records from around the world than you can possibly imagine. So the 12th through the 14th is the conference. They do a late night at the library one of those nights, but if I was you and I was planning on coming, I would be sure and schedule an extra couple of days on either end of that particular trip to make sure you can spend some time in the library. Well, that is all I have planned for you today. I told you it was a quick review. Hopefully it's given you some resources and some opportunities to go out and look for information for yourself. Lots of great resources made available by the RootsTech organization. And I just want to say thank you to them for a great weekend this past weekend. And I am looking forward to seeing how they top themselves next year. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.